Good afternoon, everyone. This is Bob Pompiani from KDKA TV. We're here at Heinz Field, and we welcome all of our viewers on Pittsburgh CW and all the Steeler digital platforms watching us both around the country and around the world. And why wouldn't you watch this week? It is Ravens week as the Steelers get set to take on the Baltimore Ravens. The Steelers, the only undefeated team in the NFL, 6-0, coming off a big win at Tennessee where they dominated the first half and then held on to win 27-24. The Ravens had a bye week. They are 5-1. And it'll be interesting, the test that is Lamar Jackson. He faced the Steelers just once last season, but in that game in Pittsburgh, a game won by Baltimore in overtime, Steelers did a good job defensively, sacking him 5 times, also 3 interceptions. They need that sort of effort on the road. And by the way, this week will be the first time Baltimore will have fans in the stands, 4,300, no more than that, as the Steelers get set to take on a very big game. As Mike Tomlin likes to say, it's always hot in the kitchen, and it'll be really at its hottest this week down in Baltimore with first place on the line. Coach Tomlin is ready to address the media, so let's go over to the South Side and join the press conference.
Good afternoon. As always, I'll start with a synopsis of some injury or health-related things. In-game injuries from last week. Wormley had a knee injury that's being evaluated as we speak, an MRI. Don't know what his availability will be. Dangerfield has a quad injury that may limit him at the early portions of the week, and we'll let his availability and the quality of his work be our guide in terms of him being available for the game. We got a couple of guys that have positioned themselves to work their way back into action, scheduled to practice. Those guys are Mike Hilton and Derek Watt. We'll assess their health and performance throughout the course of the week and kind of make prudent decisions in that regard. The rest are kind of bumps and bruises along the way. I'm sure may limit a guy or two at the early portions of the week or Wednesday practice, but we don't worry too much about that. One man's misfortune is another man's opportunity. Oftentimes, it's great developmental reps for younger guys, and that's the way we approach it. Wednesday's a big day from a game planning standpoint. Physical reps are important, but it's also growth opportunities for younger guys. Those same guys are the guys that have an opportunity to step up when injury sets in on Sundays. Guys like Robert Spillane and others have really gotten good quality work on Wednesdays due to short-term issues with other people, but it can act as a springboard, and that's just our approach to it. So we're excited about some of the other younger guys getting the chance to work on tomorrow in an effort to move forward, not only for this game, but just largely in terms of their general preparation. A quick synopsis of the game. We had quality plays in all 3 phases and contributions. We're appreciative of that. Can't say enough about some of the things that transpired in special teams, an explosion return by Ray, quality punting by Jordan. Not a lot of it, and we're thankful for that because we were able to possess the ball, but quality punts nonetheless. We were able to maintain possession of the ball throughout the first half and move it fluidly. Largely, we were really effective on third downs throughout the game. Can't say enough about all parties involved from that standpoint. Ben with his accurate throws and decision-making, the protection, and can't say enough about the receivers in some instance making combat catches and run after and things of that nature, things that we need to do collectively well in an effort to be good offensively in this league. And on the defensive side of the ball, we really had our attentions on the runner, as you know, and largely we were able to minimize his impact on the game. Didn't like the big play we gave up, but such is life. I absorbed some of the responsibility for that. Initially, when we were preparing for this game, Brown was not an active guy, and maybe we didn't give him enough attention and prep for the rematch. So there's some lessons to be learned, not only in terms of playing, but just planning and schematics. We're all just trying to grow every week, and we'll roll our sleeves up and do the same in preparation for this one this week. We're back in the kitchen, man. It's AFC North ball. We like that. We respect it. It's cool to be in what we believe is the game of the week for the 3rd week in a row. We're humbly honored to be in that. We like to show that respect with how we prepare and then ultimately how we play. You know what the Ravens games are about, man. They are a top-notch organization and football team. They got talent across the board. They're familiar with us. We're familiar with them. There's continuity within schematics on both staffs and core players and things, and I think that that's what adds to the intrigue. you should anticipate it being a physical and rough and tumble game because history tells us that. And I think how the two teams are playing this year also gives you that indication, man. I can't say enough about the quality play of their defense. They're really getting after people. The new guy in the middle, Queen, is really impressive. Draft pick out of LSU, particularly for a young guy, is really providing them quality ball. On the back end, Humphreys, I just really love and respect as a player. He's evolved into a real top-notch defender, and I say defender because he's not just the cover guy. He plays inside in the nickel. He's a quality blitzer. His ball awareness is on the ceiling. He might be the very best defender in football in terms of getting the ball and dislodging it and disrupting it. He got us in a very big way in the first game last year in overtime that led to their victory in that game. But they just got quality players at all levels through and through. Calais Campbell is a new addition up front. That's a goon, man, that really gets after people. We're familiar with him over the course of his career and have played him a number of times. And he has been an awesome addition to them, man. You just put that Philadelphia Eagle game on and it speaks for itself. On the offensive side of the ball, man, obviously it starts with Lamar Jackson and his unbelievable talents, not only as a runner, but as a play extender and a thrower. They have some design runs. He can also get you by scramble or improv. They got quality backs, man. We got to get ready for all three of those guys. Ingram and Edwards and the rookie, all three guys. They utilize all three. They utilize Lamar. I think Lamar's got 50 rushes. And they're a tough nut to crack. We have to be really good versus the run in this game, but it's a very different challenge than maybe the Tennessee Titans or the New York Football Giants because of the diversity of their run game and the multitude of people you have to contend with. In the passing game, man, it's Hollywood Brown, it's Andrews and others. They just got a well-rounded group, and that's one of the reasons why they're 5-0, and it's one of the reasons why we're preparing with an edge this week. I'll pause there and open it up for questions.
Dale Lawley.
Mike, I was just curious in terms of your career. What did you learn from Tony Dungy, and is there things that you still do now that he kind of taught you?
Man, we don't have enough time to chronicle the things that I learned from Coach in a very short period of time, I might add. I only worked for him for one season, but just his approach to business, the thoroughness, the clean communication, particularly in difficult times, the clarity of thought, his commitment to a style of play and a plan are all things that, I really have held on to over the years and think about often.
Brooke Pryor.
Hey, Mike, I believe it was about this time a year ago that James Conner got hurt in the late minutes of the Miami game, and then he wasn't available consistently the rest of the season. How do you balance staying aggressive with him in the run game and continuing the streak that he's on while also maintaining his health for the long haul?
We're worried about beating the Baltimore Ravens this week. We don't live in our fears. That's just how we go about business. It's one challenge at a time. We're singularly professionally focused on this week's challenge and his inclusion in it. And that's the only way we know to go about this journey.
Mark Caboli.
Hey, Mike, you said after the game that oftentimes you're willing to let the opponent determine who the hot hand is when it comes to receivers. Does that reveal itself leading up to the game, or is it just in-game observations and basically been thrown to who's open?
It reveals itself leading up to the game in their personality, their style of play, schematics, but also people. We have to forecast a little bit, but no question we go into the game with an understanding of who may have an opportunity to have a big day from a matchup or schematic standpoint.
Jerry Dulac.
Hey, Mike, did you anticipate throwing 49 times in a game in which you were leading the entire time? And would that explain a lot of the possession throws, the short, quick throws that Ben was making?
Yeah, that was the plan for us in that particular venue. We wanted to possess the ball. There are many ways you can possess the ball. Short passes, high completion percentages allow you to do that along with running it. And so, we want to have a diverse attack. We want to be well-balanced. We want to be thoughtfully non-rhythmic, all things that we talk openly about consistently. And we have an opportunity to live it out with planning and the execution of planning like last week.
Jim Colony.
Mike, what has Vince Williams done to turn himself into a better all-around linebacker?
Vince is really consistent. I don't know that he's all around better. I think he's getting more opportunities this year. He was part of a 3-man rotation a year ago, if you remember, with he and Devin Bush and Mark Barron, and really he's not a part of a rotation this year. In the spaces that he plays, he's been an all-down in every situation player, and he's playing at a high level for us. He's playing like a veteran who has experience and know-how, should play.
Albie Oxenrider.
Hi, Mike. You have suggested, and your players have as well, that you haven't played your best, that it's far from perfect what you've done. That said, you're 6-0. You're the only undefeated team in the league. Is there anything you can point to, if you had to pick one thing, that underscores the fact that you are perfect, at least in terms of your record so far?
I think we're just doing enough to get out of stadiums, and we desire to play better, obviously, but I'm thankful that we got enough competitive spirit, that we believe in each other enough, that enough guys want to be the reason why we're successful, that we can make enough plays to persevere, sometimes in the midst of adversity, sometimes in the midst of adversity that we create. I don't think any of us, when I say us, I'm talking about any of us in the National Football League, probably view ourselves as finished products at this point. I think our perspective on where we are is probably not a lot different than the 31 others. We're all working week in and week out, trying to win that particular game, but also understanding that we need to get better in the process because significant, challenges usually lie ahead.
Tim Benz.
Mike, some of those additions on defense for Baltimore that you talked about before, have they allowed the Ravens to be more versatile or schematically different in any regard, or have their skills just sort of enhanced what was already there in previous seasons?
They have a mode of operation, if that's what you speak of, and they probably acquire talent to fit that. But obviously, when you got a guy like Calais Campbell, man, and his unique physical traits, he brings something, and you lean on that and you utilize that, man. I see him disrupting passes and so forth, getting in passing lanes and things of that nature. I'd imagine it's a little bit of both. They recruit players or acquire players that fit their mode and are capable of playing the style of ball that they desire to play. But at the same time, they're smart guys. Martindale and others I've known for a long time. They're going to do what their players can do and highlight those things as well.
Joe Rutter.
Is there anything you can glean from the way you played Jackson last year, or has he just grown so much as a quarterback in the past?
They're probably better equipped to talk about his growth. We're just going to work to win this game and look at what he's doing right now and how he's utilizing his skills and talents and the people at his disposal in an effort to win. And so, each week is different. It may be the same guy. We might have different challenges the next time we play him. That's just how this thing evolves and goes over the course of the season. Sure, there's some lessons to be learned and some things to look back at, but we better be prepared for what he's doing and doing in the present.
Noah Strackman.
Hey, Mike. Every week the game plan is to shut down the run first and foremost. Does that change with Lamar Jackson at all?
No, it does not.
Will Graves.
Mike, kind of following up on Joe's question, you guys were able to get to him 5 times last year. What is sort of the key in just sort of keeping him, in check?
I wish I had the answer to that. I think I wish the National Football League had the answer to that. In check is a strong term, one that I choose not to use. We're just going to play to the best of our abilities. We're going to play within our personality, and we need to be on the details. We need to play fast and play collectively together, and hopefully that's enough.
Didi Kinkabala.
You have often said this year that your favorite way to learn, your favorite way to teach is off of a win. What have your players shown you so far this week that makes you feel confident that they have learned some lessons as opposed to taking overconfidence from how close this one was Sunday and from the tale of the two halves Sunday?
I've learned nothing. I gave them Monday off. Today's a normal player's day off, so I hadn't interacted with those guys in the ways that you mentioned, but I don't have any concern about their focus or overconfidence or anything of the nature, the things that you suggest. We got respect for the Baltimore Ravens and AFC North football and playing ball in their venue this week. We got enough veterans on our team that know and understand that and that history. And so we look forward to getting to work tomorrow.
Jeff Hathorn.
Mike, I'm just double checking on Robert Spillane's shoulder that he's fine. And after looking at tape, what were your impressions of his performance?
I thought he played well. His shoulder is fine. I'm sure, there's some residue, if you will, but I don't think it'll limit his participation or preparation in any way as we prepare for Baltimore. And I think it's reasonable to expect him to get better with each outing because he is a hard-working young man, and with physical reps and muscle memory should come, more consistent performance. And so those are all encouraging and exciting things to discuss.
Dale Lawley.
Yeah, Mike, is there any other team in the league that utilizes the tight end as much as Baltimore?
Yeah, there's a lot. Those guys out in Frisco and others. There's some teams that really feature the tight end, but I can't say enough about the commitment and the relationship that Baltimore has between their quarterback and Andrews and what they're able to do with him. And I think he's got 5 touchdowns on the year, ridiculous red zone target, but all situations, 3rd down, red zone, 2-minute. They're a formidable tandem, one that we respect and one we better be prepared to work to minimize.
Mark Caboli.
And Mike, what kind of challenges do your receivers have this week with Peters and Humphrey, especially with the physical style those two like to play?
Man, they're quality players, but I can't say enough about Jimmy Smith as well, who also plays in their sub package at corner, who's been a long-time corner for them in the AFC North, man. We've had experience and competition with him as well. They got a rock-solid group at the cornerback position that allows them to be aggressive, and I'd imagine that that's going to be a significant component of play in this football game.
Joe Rudder.
You talked about being the game of the week 3 weeks in a row. Having played the last 2 weeks as the game of the week, does that help you in any way or get ready for this one?
Maybe just in terms of how we manage, anxiety or the things that lead up to the game and how we can stay focused through preparation. But in terms of what transpires in the stadium or inside the white lines, no.
Brooke Pryor.
Mike, both the Ravens and the Steelers have historically strong defenses, even as players change. What is it about the Steelers' organizational philosophy that allows you guys to field such a dominant defense year after year?
We have a commitment there. If they can't score, you can't lose. And it's kind of approach that we take. But that commitment goes back to player acquisition, the development of schematics, just the things that the nuts and bolts things, if you will, when you build your program. I just think good, winning, consistent football, top-notch defense, particularly defense that's stout against the run, is a significant component of that.
Alan Saunders.
What kind of challenge does does Lamar Jackson put on your pass defense from the standpoint of having to have guys both, watching their guy and paying attention to him coming out of the backfield?
No, if we have a guy, we better have our full attention on the guy. We can't divide our eyes like you suggest. When we're responsible for people, we have to be responsible for those guys because at the same time, there's others responsible for Lamar Jackson, and together we eat or we don't. And that's what makes collective defense so important and football the ultimate team game.
Time for a few more. Aditi Kinkhabala.
Coach Tomlin, Ben Roethlisberger has been so good at decision-making, at not giving away the ball this season, and then obviously these 3 picks on Sunday. When you looked at all of them, any trends or anything that you can tell us about them? Are they indeed bad decisions or just bad bounces?
Nothing to be concerned about, to be quite honest with you. One of them was at the end of the half, and we're trying to make a play. The other one was a tip pass. Sometimes that misfortune happens, and the other one was trying to make an aggressive play at the end of the game to a guy that he developed a great rapport with over the course of the game and who had made several top-notch, tough combat catches. And so, we live and we learn, but we don't cry over the spilt milk, man. We move forward to this week's challenges, understanding that preservation of the ball is important in this matchup.
Jim Colony.
Mike, what's gone into the coverage units, both kickoff and punt coverage, being better?
Guys are just working hard. First, it starts with the kickers themselves. Can't say enough about the placement of the ball of Boz in the kickoff game that are allowing us to get guys in close quarters and allowing guys to get down the field and cover. But there's no secret. We're getting good placement from the kickers themselves in terms of where the ball is located and the hang time, and the guys are getting down the field and working well collectively together.
Tim Benz.
Mike, two new Ravens to prepare for. Ngakoue, what are your memories of him in Jacksonville? How will he aid their defense? And J.K. Dobbins, the rookie running back from Ohio State, are they supplementing the other running backs with him, or does he have his own packages, so to speak?
Again, I can't speak for their intended use of the runner, but they have utilized 3 runners to this point in the season, and it doesn't appear to be any schematic differences in the play selection or anything of that nature. I just think they have 3 backs that they like, and they're utilizing all of them. I'd imagine that they're getting to know their young one without preseason and so forth. It's a process. I know that we're going through a similar process in terms of getting to know Anthony McFarland and our utilization of him. And on the other side, man, they just add another quality rusher to a mix of quality rushers. I think they got 22 sacks as a football team, but it's spread out over a wide variety of people, and you have to be prepared for that. And they just put somebody else in the hopper that you have to be prepared for. But such is life in the NFL, and we look forward to competing against them this weekend.
Final one, Will Graves, go ahead.
Mike, you guys have scored a lot of points through 6 games. I think the most in franchise history. You look around the league, there's a lot of scoring is up measurably. Do you think the preparation for the season had any effect on that? And would you expect an adjustment as we get deeper into it?
To be honest with you, I have no idea. I hadn't spent a lot of time thinking about the global components of that. I am appreciative that our scoring is up, and hopefully that continues.
All right, thank you.
All right, that's the Mike Tomlin press conference for today. Interesting, he was talking about the 3 picks. Normally, when you leave a game at a -3 on the giveaway takeaway differential, you lose games. And the Steelers have lost a lot in that situation. But in this game, they won it mostly because those 3 interceptions resulted in just 3 points for the Titans. The Steeler defense certainly had a lot to do with that. And as of those 3 interceptions, Tomlin didn't have much concern with it. Quite frankly, one was a tip pass, and normally those go down to the ground. The one before halftime, trying to make something happen, and also at the end of the game. So he's okay with that. Aggressive plays, as he calls them, and they're going to need a lot of aggressive plays this week when they take on the Ravens down in Baltimore. Ravens coming off a bye week. They're 5-1. The Steelers at 6-0, the only undefeated team left. Will they make it 7-0? Well, you'll be able to find out this week. We got a full slate of coverage once again, starting with the Mike Tomlin Show. That's at 11:35 on Saturday night. Missy Matthews and I will have interviews with Coach Tomlin and other features right here on KDK TV. And then, of course, we have a full day of game day activities beginning at 11:30 a.m. with our pregame show, the kickoff, followed by the NFL Today on CBS. Then the game at 1, 2 hours of postgame afterwards on KDK. So it's football all weekend long, and what another big game. As Mike Tomlin said, this is the 3rd game in a row where it should be viewed as the national game of the week. And a lot on the line. The Steelers hoping to hang on to first place. The Browns are right behind at 5-2. It's a tough division this year, and this game will be a tough one as well. That's going to do it for us. Thanks for joining us. And a reminder, after the Mike Tomlin Show on KDKA, if you didn't see it, if you're out of the market, you can also watch it on the Steelers YouTube channel as well. But that's going to do it. We'll have plenty more coming up tonight at 5 and 6 on KDKA TV, and we'll see you again next Tuesday. For everyone here at Steelers.com, I'm Bob Pompiani. Have a great day, and we'll see you next week at noon.